Now, at this stage, you're probably wondering just how much of a big deal is this? And if you look at the total amount of stuff that Britain has traditionally exported to the US, well, here it is. Over the past 5 years, £273 billion worth. And if we break it down, look, cars, that's the biggest chunk of it. So just under £30 billion in cars. You've got steel and aluminium. They're not going to face tariffs, but it's only £2.7 billion. Jet engines, so some of them, particularly Rolls-Royce, that's going to be covered by this as well. So you can see the amount that this covers is building up. But then you've got something like beef. So a lot of talk about what this is going to mean for access to the US market for beef. That is tiny in comparison with everything else. And then there's the areas where they haven't yet been negotiated, but there's an intention to try and negotiate them, like pharmaceuticals. Toss all of that up. This is kind of best-case scenario stuff in terms of how much is affected by this. And you're talking about £75 billion worth, give or take, of that total over the last 5 years, which is just over a quarter. So that is what is affected by this. And the rest, that still faces those tariffs of 10%. But actually, it's a bit more complicated than that. So take cars, OK? So the tariff on cars used to be 2.5% before this latest Donald Trump measure. Then, of course, that's gone up to 25%. So that's really tough. Under this deal, for the UK, it could well be down to 10%. So better than 25% for those car exports to the US, but certainly not as good as the 2.5% there was before. And it still gets more complicated after that, because it's not all car exports to the US that are going to have that lower tariff. In fact, anything up to 100,000 cars a year is going to have the 10%, but anything above that line is going to be 25%. And if you look historically, in every year going back the last decade or so, we have exported more than 100,000 cars to the US. So you see, it's complicated.